Today I will going to discuss about an aptitude of exception handling. So this is the hierarchy of an exception, complete hierarchy. Then I will begin with the first question. So this is the first question. Can you predict an output of this code? So class bank constructor, and this is the one more class, and we are throwing an exception. And this is two catch block here. One is predefined one, another one is the user defined catch block. What is an output of this code? Any compile time error, runtime error, or else you will get an output of this particular code.
Sir, I think there is a error arises.
So
Compilation error.
where is an error here?
In the first catch blocks, maybe. I don't know, sir, but in the second catch blocks, can we use two catch block inside a one try?
So this is a try, then followed by a number of catch block. You can use it, no issue.
Okay. Then don't know, sir.
Okay, I will explain through code. Just observe here. So you're getting compile time error here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, first line also.
Yes,
so here
sir.
in this line also, 19th line also, as well as the 25th line also. And how to overcome this difficulty? How should I remove these errors? If I want to remove this error, what should I do now? Basically, I want to remove these errors. What are the changes we have to do in this code? How to remove these
In the
errors?
catch block, we have to change throwability.
So where here, what should I change? Then the first error is if I ignore this catch block, if I comment, okay. So if I comment again, remain is error is there, two errors again. So here any user defined class here, if you provide extends followed by base exception, see, error will be gone.
Yes, sir.
Correct. This is a user defined class that should be extended from the base exception. So why? Because you are throwing this kind of like user defined exception, correct? Throw new followed by the bank. Here constructor of the class will be executed. Definitely this class extend from the exception class. And after that, if you are uncomment this one error will come again, one error, correct?
Yes, sir.
So why one more error here? First we should provide the most specific to most general, right? So
Yes.
first you have to provide this catch block after the try. So you have to specify the catch block here, then it works fine. If you place this catch block in the beginning after the try block, so you will get the compile time error. So most specific to most general you have to place.
Okay, sir.
Fine. Now, yes, if you are trying to execute this code now, so you will get an output. See again, see, just observe. So throw new followed by the bank. You are created an object for the bank, correct? Constructor of the
bank,
bank will be executed. Then it will print
bank,
welcome to SBI. Then you are throwing the exception.
welcome.
Which exception you are throwing? Okay, bank. Definitely it will be handled by the first catch block. This catch block will be executed.
Yes. Cash block. Most
So now got it
application.
here. Two errors will come, correct? Two errors
So,
in this code. To overcome this difficulty, we have to write class bank followed by extends followed by the exception. Then we have to place this catch block after the try. So then all error will be removed. So understood the first code.
yes, sir.
We'll go for the second code. So now guess the partially checked exceptions. So we have a number of classes here: exception, error, throwable, runtime exception, null pointer exception, IO exception. In this, so you have to guess the partially checked exception.
Options. Her time and null pointer. Null time exceptions and null pointer exceptions.
Really?
Uh, IO exception is a fully checked exceptions.
We just remember this partially checked, this hierarchy. Total partial checked exception. Exception followed by the throwable. Correct? Huh?
Yes, sir.
See what is this here? Exception followed by the throwable.
Throwable.
Fine. So we'll go for the
Yes.
next question.
It
Guess the
means
fully checked exception in this list. Exception, throwable, error, IO exception, arithmetic exception, and followed by the runtime exception.
IO exceptions.
IO exception. Shall I show you the diagram once again? See this IO
Yes.
exception we call it as pure checked
You
exception.
check exception.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is yes. Fully checked exception is a IO exception.
IO exception.
What about error, sir?
So the unchecked exception.
Hmm.
Again, I will come back to the same questions now. Again, unchecked exception. Guess the unchecked exception in the following list. So exception, throwable, error, IO exception, arithmetic exception, as well as the null pointer exception. And
Error,
guess the
error,
unchecked
arithmetic
exception.
exception, and null pointer exceptions.
So here error and arithmetic exception and
Arithmetic
followed
and
by the
null
null
pointer.
pointer exception. These all belongs to the unchecked exception, and exception as well as the throwable, it belongs to the partially checked
Partially checked
exception.
exception.
Then IO exception is
Fully checked
fully
exception.
checked exception. Again, you can remember this diagram once again. See, runtime exception, and it is subclasses. It comes under again arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, and followed by error here, and it is subclasses. These are all the subclasses of the error. Correct? These are all belongs to the unchecked exception. So that's the
Yes.
reason you have to remember this entire hierarchy. You can answer it.
Unchecked exception.
So now it's clear now for this.
Yes, sir.
So now it's a partial
Yes, sir.
checked exception is what?
Exception and throwable.
Yes. Then here the next question is fully
Error,
checked is
Fully
fully
checked.
checked exception is
IO
IO
exception.
exception.
iOS exception.
Then guess the unchecked exceptions here. So in
Error,
this list, error,
Error,
IO exception, then
arithmetic.
followed by arithmetic. IO is
Sir,
completely belongs to the fully checked exception.
yes, sir.
So here only error, arithmetic
Arithmetic
exception, then
null
followed
pointer.
by the
exception and
null
null
pointer
pointer.
exception. Only three, then 5, then 6. So now here predict an output. Definitely a number divided by 0, definitely arithmetic exception arises. So I am
Exception.
provided match cache block handler arithmetic exception. But if I use a print stack trace method, how the exception message or exception information will be displayed on the console?
Arithmetic exception.
Definitely in how the exception messages will be displayed. It consisting of 3 parts, right? With the help of print track trace, how the exception
Divisible
messages
by
will be
0.
displayed.
It will give the description.
Divisible by zero
So
exception.
normally how it will be displayed first, see these exception message, these kind of exception message will be displayed on the screen, correct?
Uh,
It can be
yes,
divided into the like three parts, correct? See how exactly first one is the exception name. What is the exception name here? It's arithmetic
arithmetic
exception.
exception.
Then description about an exception is divided by 0. Then
Zero.
followed by exception location, you can say this is the class name, correct?
Yes,
Sookshmas one is the class name. So in this way, exception information will be displayed on the screen if you use print stack trace implementation. So I will explain through code now, the same code. See, first I will go for the print stack trace. Just observe an output. See, type of an exception, right? Then description,
yes.
then about the, see here in which
Class.
line, if you click on this, see, it will go for the
Class.
particular line. Understood? These kind of exception message will be displayed. These kind of exception message, then we categorize into the three sections like this. One is exception name, exception description, about the location. If you click on this, it will go for the particular line. Correct? You just observe the code. When you click on this, see when you click on this, it will point into the particular line.
Yes.
So this is all about this question. So using the print stack trace method, how the exception information will be displayed in the console or in the output screen. Understood now?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Most frequently asking question in the aptitude section. So slowly observe the next question is same here also, a number divided by 0 arithmetic exception arises, then definitely I have provided the catch block. But here, this is the E is an object, belongs to the class called arithmetic
Yes.
exception. Here I'm trying to print an object only. Then how the exception messages will be displayed on the screen now? How the exception information will be displayed?
It will only give arithmetic exceptions. Mm.
Only
Yes, along with the class name,
along with the class name.
which is found in the class name.
See, I will ignore, then I will place.
Arithmetic.
See, type of an exception, right? Then
Yes,
description.
okay.
Type of the exception,
Arithmetic
then followed by
exception.
description.
Yes.
Just observe this now theory now. Type of the exception, or I can say exception name, then followed by exception description.
Description. Okay.
Understood
Yes,
now?
sir. Yes, sir.
Next one, sometime I'm explicitly use this. This is the next question. A number divided by 0, definitely arithmetic exception arises. Here I'm placing e object dot toString implementation. Use toString. See, if you are not providing, if you are not explicitly using toString also, implicitly it will call toString implementation, same kind of message it will be displayed. Then if you remove also, it doesn't matter, it will like same only. If you place
Okay.
e also fine, then e dot toString also fine, it implicitly calls the
Toastring.
toString method. See, same message, exception name followed by the description about the exception. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Someone explicitly use
Yes, sir.
toString, that's it.
Toastring section.
And here now the same code, but the different now I'm calling get message implementation, get message method. A number divided by 0, then exception arises, arithmetic exception arises inside the try block. Then I have provided the match catch block handlers, and inside here with the help of an object E belongs to the arithmetic exception class E dot get message. It's a predefined method. So how the exception information will be displayed on the screen? In this case, how the exception message will be displayed? So observe
Name
the
description.
name description. So if you run, see only description about an exception divided by 0. I just repeat once again the same thing. See, if you are trying to run, if you use a print stack trace method, exception name description and followed by what? What is this line?
Class name.
Or else you can say location. Fine. If you click on that,
Location
it
of
will be
exception.
pointing to the yes here. And if you ignore this one, if you use object directly, then now exception name followed by description.
By 0.
Yes, then
Description.
followed by if you call explicitly, this is explicitly e dot to
Same
string method,
message.
same message will be displayed. This is explicit call, that's it. And if you call e dot get message, then only description about an exceptions
Just
will be
only
displayed on the screen.
description.
And this is all about the code. Before getting to this, again you have to remember this point. Exception name, description, location. Name, description, location.
Yes, sir.
And these are all the questions again. Stack trace, then object, then explicitly calling to string, then followed by e dot get message. So this is the next question. Again, a number divided by 0 here. Okay, arithmetic exception arises, and which catch block will be executed here now?
Error, sir.
Error, compile time
Errors.
error or runtime error?
Compile time error.
Compile time error.
Compile time.
Okay,
Sir, runtime errors.
runtime error.
Compile time errors.
Most specific to most general.
Compile
It's
time.
not follows.
Correct. Your answer
Huh?
is correct. So here, this is what error, right? This is the code. We get the compile time error, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
why
sir.
here?
Yes.
First, we should place the child, then followed by parent. See,
Parent.
now if I place
Please.
child first, then followed by parent, then it works fine.
Parent.
That's work fine. But if you place a parent first, then followed by the child, then you will get the compile time error like this. See?
Yes, sir.
First you have to place the child, then followed by parent, or else more specific to most general you have to place. So we will get the compile time error here. So to resolve this one, first you have to place the catch block, this catch block in the
Okay.
beginning. Okay,
Arithmetic
first child, then
exception.
followed by parent, or else more specific to most general you should
Most
place.
general.
So now here, next question. Again a number divided by 0 here. What is throwable here? What is throwable? Just remember this diagram. What is
Base of
throwable here?
exceptions.
What is throwable
Base of
here? It's a
it's a
root class
base.
or base class.
Root.
Correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
If you consider the whole exception hierarchy, and this class is a root class. Throwable is a root class.
Root class.
So now, take this question. Then what will happen now? Throwable is a root class for all the exception hierarchy. What will happen in this code? See, if you place throwable also, see, what will happen now? Again, you are getting the compile time error. Exception, arithmetic exception has already been caught. Correct? So in this case also, you have to specify the child first, then followed by the parent. In this case also, it
Okay.
worked fine.
Okay.
If you place this catch block in the beginning, you will get the error message, compile time error message like arithmetic exception has already been caught. That's the reason we should specify the child first. In the case of exception also, we'll
Okay.
get the same error. Remember, exception class as well as the throwable class. First, we should specify the child, then followed by the parent. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So now, in this code now, this is the next code. String college null, this is the try block, and the catch block is arithmetic exception. One more catch block is there, null pointer exception, and we have finally block also here.
Null pointer exception
Yeah. What about here?
followed by description through new arithmetic exception. Through comma. Sir, can we use through exception?
Sir, the string college is equal to null, it will show error there.
Okay. I will discuss with the code. See, this is the code, correct? Just observe. This will be put in the double quotes, right? This will be put in the double quotes, correct? Java, then
Yes,
followed
sir.
by this will be put in the double quotes. Definitely,
Through
where the
new.
exception arises here, I have assigned null for the college, correct? Then I'm trying to print
Yes, sir.
the length. Okay. So now here null pointer exception will be arises. Just observe. Then it will handled by this catch block, null pointer exception, then followed by finally block gets executed. Right? But if you open here, like if you are open this one,
Error.
see, you'll get compartment error.
Yes, sir.
The code.
Width
We'll go for the next one, 15th one. There's one try. This is catch block, another catch block, and finally block. I've used a return statement also inside try, catch, and finally.
Error arises, sir.
Where is the error here?
Sir, catch block. Catch block we use a return. So return to where?
Where is the error?
The return is placed first is possible.
See,
So in a catch
where you are
block,
getting
in the
two
first
errors.
catch
See, unreachable statement. Again,
block,
here is
sir,
also unreachable
because
statement. Correct.
yes, sir.
So if you want to overcome this difficulty, then if I place, we can place return
We have to
statement.
place return after the yes.
Yes, we can place return after this. Then run this code. Definitely a number divided by 0, arithmetic exception arises. It will reach us the finally.
Final.
If you place like this, so we'll get the compiled error.
Yes.
Now here, try block,
Java answers.
then you have catch block, and you have finally block.
Java because
oracles.
Java and Oracle.
Java, sir, because only there is system.exit, it will come out of the loop.
Yes, yes. First, it will print Java. We call system.exe. So that is the reason it never reaches the finally block also. It never reaches. Just observe, if we call system.exit, then force it will print the Java, then it never reaches the finally block. Then if you comment this one, then after this, definitely there is no exception here. It will print the Java, it never reaches the catch block, definitely finally block is executed. But if you place system.exit here, then it never reaches the finally block.
Final.
Here now.
Sir, there should not be any statement between catch block.
Yes, yes. Because of this line only, we'll get the like compile time error. I will show you. What kind of error you will get it? Catch without try. Correct.
Without
So because of this statement only, if I ignore the statement, that's work fine. Or else, if I use one more try, see,
No error.
no error. Or else you have to comment this one, or else you have to provide the one more try here. So that's the reason you will getting the compile time error like catch without try.
Yes.
And now here, this is the Java 7 implementation. Instead of writing the two catch block, we can provide the only one single catch block. So now if I use here arithmetic exception and followed by the exception in a single catch block, okay, whether it is whether it works or not.
It works, sir.
Works, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
See, no compile time error. So yes, it's coming. What kind of error you are getting? Alternative in a multi-catch statement cannot be related by the subclassing. Correct? So here, what kind of error you are getting? Alternatives in multi-catch statement cannot be related by the subclass. Alternative arithmetic exception is a subclass of alternative exception. Correct? This is base now. This is child now. So instead of that, if I reverse this one,
Yes.
this work fine.
Arithmetic exception. Here,
This is also error. See? What should I do now? So instead of writing this kind of exception, I will place null pointer exception. Now, what kind of error is
okay.
now occurred here? What kind of exception arises here?
Arithmetic exception.
Arithmetic exception. Definitely.
Arithmetic exception by
Arithmetic
okay.
exception. Now we can place string s is equal to null.
Length.
Then what should I write here?
Size of string. S dot length. Okay.
This works.
Yes, sir. Null pointer exception followed
So in this case, null pointer exception.
by goes
Correct? Single catch block is sufficient. This is Java 7 implementation. The first here only exception arises, no? It never reaches for the second statement.
Okay.
okay.
So what is the original question is? Original question is, this is the original question. Understood now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So next question.
Right. Followed by a catch block. Sir, except compilation errors.
Compilation error, why?
Yes, sir.
Why compilation error?
Here we should use another one catch blocks for first try block.
You're right. So here, what kind of error you were getting? Try without catch. Or
Without
we should use
catch.
finally also, at least to overcome the difficulty. Correct? I can place this catch here. See? It worked fine now.
Here,
Understood?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Or else you can use finally also.
Finally.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
So here you will get try followed by minimum at least one catch, or else you have to provide one finally block. Okay, we'll go for the next question. So now here,
Try to catch under exception. Double exception. Minus catch block. IO exception.
here the static IO exception, then followed
IO.
by then followed by
Throw I.
throwing I. I have noted assign here.
String
Just observe here, no compile time error here, right? There is no
yes,
compile time error here.
Yes,
But
sir.
if you are trying to run this one, what kind of catch block will be executed here?
Null point. Yeah.
Null pointer.
Null
So you're
pointer.
expecting IO exception, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Why? Because we are throwing the null reference. Nothing is assigned, correct? If we are throwing the null reference, definitely a null pointer exception will be encountered. So that's the reason this catch block will be executed, not the first one.
Okay.
Okay, we're not at assigned anything. We are throwing the null reference. That's it. We have declared the reference belongs to the IO exception class. Just we are throwing that reference. If you are throwing the null reference, definitely a null pointer exception will be executed. This catch block will be executed. Suppose if you are ignore this catch block also. So here what I provided only IO exception. So in this case,
IO exception.
see, default exception handler will be executed, right? So here it's providing everything, null pointer exception. But if you are providing the match catch block handle like null pointer exception, so definitely this message will be printed on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Until now I have discussed 20 questions. Okay, another 10 to 12 questions are there. I will discuss in next class. So now again you can come back. So this is the hierarchy you should be remember. Okay, then followed by these are the some of the questions what I discussed till now. When you get the time, practice it.
Okay, sir.
Till now I have discussed this much questions. Fine.